Right now, at this time, I'd like to invite Tammy Reichert up here because she's got a very important thing to do in regards to Mr. Greyson Reynolds.
I do have a very important thing to do, and I really hope I don't screw it up because this is extremely important. Okay. So I guess, first of all, most of you know me. I should tell you I'm Tammy Reichert, and I'm a member of the Sutter Buttes Tea Party Executive Board. I'm also the Northern California chapter co-leader for the IOTC, which is the Institute on the Constitution, which means I teach a U.S. Constitution course that's sponsored by the Sutter Buttes Tea Party. We're doing that twice a year now. We offer it in April and September, and we're going to offer it continually, twice a year, because we continue to be asked about it. People want to sign up. They miss the sign-ups. So rather than try to, inform everybody enough ahead of time, we're going to be consistent, and we're going to have it twice a year for plenty of opportunity for people. Also, I know that the IOTC has recently announced they're going to be doing a fully online course, so nobody has to mess with their schedules, and everybody can fit it into their schedules. But the reason I'm here is, well, I'm here because Carla made me. Really, this is all due to Carla. What happened was we have our board meetings and we talk about events happening in the community, guest speakers we want to bring to inform our friends and neighbors. And Carla noticed this article about a young man from Oroville, a local youth, who did an incredible thing. He noticed something he knew didn't seem right at his high school. They were not saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And I did not know this was happening. I think I'm not alone. And, we grew up saying the Pledge of Allegiance at school. It was a normal thing. You did it every morning. So I wasn't even aware this had fallen off in some schools. And so you can read all about this on page 6 and 7 in the bulletin. Carla did a really nice job putting together a very informative article, just representing what this man has taken upon himself to do. But I wanted to, since I'm a teacher and I teach the Constitution, this is a teaching opportunity. I wanted to take a look at that pledge just very briefly, because to see where all this controversy is coming from, it seems a little ironic that it begins, I pledge allegiance to the flag. What could be wrong with the pledging allegiance to your own nation? The answer is globalism. And Common Core in our public schools is seeking to transform our youngest citizens into global citizens. It targets vulnerable children that are not yet convicted to our founding principles of individual liberty and unalienable God-given rights. So our Declaration of Independence states the absolute truth that all men are created equal and that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Contrastively, our children are being taught to deny any individual liberty in favor of the collective through this idea of globalism. So the term global citizen is being ingrained into the minds of our youth. This term refers to a godless government state citizen that places the collective above individual liberty, not an individual created by God and God-given inalienable rights. So it goes on to say, and to the republic for which it stands. Now there's that important word again, republic. There are many people, I know not in this room, but there are many people that grew up saying that Pledge of Allegiance over and over, and yet they still believe that we live under a democracy. They don't even know the form of government they live under is a republic. It goes on to say, one nation under God. Yes, we have recognized from the original formation of this great nation that we are living under the greatest jurisdiction there is, and that's God's jurisdiction. He reigns supreme over this land, and he is the ultimate ruler and King of kings. Indivisible with liberty and justice for all, it concludes. What was that? Justice for all. Liberty and justice for all. Not just the social justice warriors and the snowflakes and the intolerant left, it means justice and liberty for all. And that means that I can say the Pledge of Allegiance, I can fly my flag of the United States proudly, even if it offends you. Sorry. And Alexander Hamilton declared, "If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything." If we are not willing to stand up for principle through declaration of our beliefs, then surely we will reap the consequences of such inaction. I admire this young student for asserting his constitutional rights and for standing up for his principles and for recognizing when society has made a wrong turn and assuming the responsibility upon himself to correct the wrong. He didn't wait for a teacher or an administrator or a parent. He didn't wait for any of those people to take action. He took this responsibility upon himself and he decided to do something. And I think that's incredible. It's so inspiring that still exists in our youth and in our country. So very impressed by that. So now we'll get on with the good stuff. I'm very pleased to present Mr. Greyson Reynolds. Will you join me up here, please? You deserve that and much more. And by the way, you have not only received this recognition for yourself, but this is something that's going to be ongoing. Our board has decided we're going to continue this annual scholarship, and we are going to bless others that have similar values that you have, and we are going to move this forward. And so we have you to thank for that. You started this, you ignited this flame, and we're gonna fan it. So I'm very honored to present this. This is the Sutter Buttes Tea Party Patriot Scholarship, and it says, in honor of his outstanding act of patriotism in reinstating the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America at Oroville High School, we proudly present Greyson Reynolds with this certificate of scholarship on this 19th day of June, 2017. This is for you as well. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I have my journey right here and getting this achieved. I wrote down a short little thing on how it all went down. So my name is Greyson Reynolds. I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior at Oroville High School. I'm a baseball player, a duck hunter, a fisherman, and more than anything, I like to consider myself a patriot. So I love my country a lot more than your average teenager. You know, a lot of teenagers aren't very involved. And I've devoted my life to making my community and our country a place with more patriotism and love for America. So one step I took was to petition to reinstate the Pledge of Allegiance every morning when school starts. So I first started my sophomore year, and it was brought to my attention that schools in our surrounding area were doing the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, and we weren't doing it. And we'd been doing the Pledge of Allegiance in my schools ever since, kindergarten all the way through 8th grade. And then when we got to high school, it changed. So I immediately went to my principal's office, confronted him about it, and he told me that he also felt like, we should start doing the Pledge of Allegiance again. We haven't done it at Oroville High School since 1972. And but he thought that a lot of people would have a problem with the under God part of it. And I thought that was not, I thought that was an excuse to not say it every morning, because if you can't say two words that have religious connotation in pledging allegiance to your country every morning, then that's, that's a sign that things are going bad. And so, also, I'm going to add that under God, it was ruled in 2014 in Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court that it's not a religious exercise. It's actually a patriotic exercise that we're expressing patriotism for our country. So I started, getting more people to realize, we're not doing the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. And my principal informed me that there is a group of seniors in their government class that were doing a project on the Pledge of Allegiance. And he thought that their project might bring it to the attention of the board, and that might cause a change. So I let my classmates work on what seemed like they had already started. And a few months passed, and nothing ever happened with it. So nothing's happening, so I arranged another meeting with him. I spoke with him on how I can get this going, since no one else was going to stand up and do it. So he suggested that I write a letter to the board. So I wrote a letter to the board, and it read, "Dear Mr. Williams, OUHSD Board and OHS staff, my name is Greyson Reynolds. I'm 16 years old and a junior at Oroville High School. I am proposing that the Pledge of Allegiance be recited every morning before the bulletin at the beginning of first period. Reciting the Pledge of Allegiance expresses respect and loyalty for our great nation and brings fellowship to a country in need of unity. Losing a minute of class time every morning is a small sacrifice for being able to demonstrate our patriotism. Since being recognized by the U.S. government in 1942, the Pledge has embodied our nation. Showing respect for our country every morning is an act that we, as Americans, should be honored to participate in. Other schools in our district already take part in this every morning, and I hope that we may join them." So that letter was sent to the board, and after a few weeks, he called me in, and he discussed what my game plan was for the pledge. And I thought it was simple. Just every morning, just start doing it as soon as possible. We have a bulletin every morning that lets you know what's going on around the school, and I thought we'd just do it before the bulletin, and that would be it. It wouldn't be a big deal to start showing appreciation and respect for our country. And some other teachers thought otherwise. So I was approached and confronted by a few teachers who believed that it was infringing upon the rights and the school environment by wanting to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So they told me that I should poll the student body on if they wanted to do the pledge, and I should make sure that everyone wants to do it before we start it. And it was all just ridiculous requests that were just trying to stop me and kill my drive. So I thought, okay, well, if we want to see if the school body really wants to do this, I'll start a petition. So I started a petition, and in one day, I got almost 190 signatures in the first day, and almost no opposition. No students were against it. They were all happy to sign it, and a lot of teachers signed it, and many students and teachers even took copies of the petition and passed it around themselves to other people to have it signed. So everyone in the school, for the most part, was for it. So the next day, I talked to the vice principal about it, and she spoke with me, and she thought, wow, you really want to do this. And so the board realized that I really was not going to stop until this happened. And so the principal called me in immediately, and he let me know that we were going to start the pledge every day, starting after our President's Day break, which is a few weeks after that. And since then, we've done it every morning before school. So. That's it.
Stay up here for a minute, Greyson. I'd like the officers to come up, and Carla Verger also. She was the instigator of this whole thing. She is the brains behind it. Officers, please. Larry, Becky.
I have a question for you. You're a junior now.
Yes.
You were a sophomore when you did this?
I was a sophomore when I started. I was towards the end of my junior year when it finally started.
And I hear you are going to be interning for a politician soon. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. I spoke at a town hall meeting for Mr. Lamalfa, Doug Lamalfa, representative, and it was a town hall meeting where I don't know if some of you might have been there, but it was a really hostile environment. And I stood up and spoke and let Mr. Lawalfa know that he represents his constituents well and that we support him. And a lot of other politicians and stuff took notice of that. And I was contacted by a group that is managing Senator Nielsen's office in Chico, California, and they wanted me to start interning in their office. So this Thursday, I start interning in their office.
And I also understand that your goal is,
Full.
where do you want to go to after high school?
I want to go to the United States Naval Academy after high school. Is my plan.
And I understand you have a sister serving in the military?
Yeah, my older sister's in South Korea right now serving in the Air Force.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Also, I would like to have your mom and your dad come up here because I think you would not be who you are without your parents. I would like to introduce the father, Chuck Reynolds, and the mother, Sandra Reynolds.
And again, on behalf of the Sutter Buttes Tea Party, and thank you for igniting that flame, and thank Carla for suggesting it and instituting this, and we're going to carry on a yearly thing. We'll put away a certain percentage of our income for one of these every year. So, thank you all.